So welcome back, guys. I hope everyone is practicing. Rest assured. If not, please do start with it, and then let me know if you have any doubts. Good. So yesterday we have seen about the post request using Pojo. We have learned a lot of things. Yes, we have understood what is when to use constructors, what is immutability, all of the stuff. But there are little more extension to it. We will understand what is today. Okay. So what I have done. Just a minute.
Amudan,
Yeah.
yeah, I have query actually.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, Amudan, we have used like where like this favorite food.
Yeah.
We are directly using as we are declaring as a public one. So we are using in Pojo one directly
Mm-hmm.
like private favorite food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we are directly calling it. So what do we call this as we have static import? So is this some specific thing we call it as?
Okay. Just a minute. Let me go here. You are asking about this.
Yes, yes. All these lists and jobs, we are directly calling them from different classes.
We are directly calling this from.
And we are using this because the above one, like the first name, last name, email,
Yeah.
as we are using as a string.
Yeah.
And for this favorite food,
Yeah.
we are directly using as like favorite food one instead of string or list of
Yeah.
string.
Yeah. You can also decouple them to different thing, but this is a good approach. That's why I didn't told you. See, what are the components that are present in a favorite food? Let's say string, and list of string, right? You can break them into different things. Let's we do it. Okay, let's do it since you have asked. Okay. uh, uh, but this will be really confusing, guys. That's why I didn't told you, but it's up to you to follow whichever the approach you want. Let's say I have a private string breakfast. Okay.
So for above like first name, last name, we can also do the same. Like if we use
Yeah, 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 yeah. You
private
can.
employee.
Yeah.
No,
So who is asking the question? Let me check.
uh,
Rohit,
Rohit.
right? Yeah,
Yes.
Rohit, don't worry about it. See, let's say the reason why I have used a favorite food class type here is in that way you can encapsulate a lot of information. Let's say if this favorite food is having 100 parameters, okay, passing the favorite food itself is good. Instead, you can also pass the parameters. Let's say a favorite food is having now three things, okay, lunch, and then let's assume it has only two. Okay, in those cases, what you can do, you can remove this. You don't need this. And in the constructor, while creating the constructor, you can pass the breakfast and lunch. Okay, and let me remove this and let me create the constructor. Okay. I will use alt and insert, create a constructor, select all of them. I don't want this guy. Okay, now once you get the breakfast and lunch, okay, then here while constructing here you can do this dot favorite food equal to new favorite food. Okay, and then you can pass the breakfast and lunch. What is the breakfast and lunch? And then you can also pass the list of dinner, right? So you can pass the breakfast, you can pass the lunch, and then you can pass the list of string, and you can also include that. So of dinner. Okay, and then if someone is passing me, someone is passing me all this thing, okay, I'll also uh, can do like this. Okay, so you can also do like this, but this is you have to pass a lot more parameters in your constructors. That's the reason I have wrapped everything to a favorite food. Okay, I leave the responsibility to the client. Okay, to the client to construct this and then pass me an employee. Okay, in the employee thing. Okay, so that's the difference. Okay, you give more control to the client. Okay, let them do more work. Okay, you don't do more work. Okay, if that's that's how you approach the problems, right? I use this way, so I also taught you guys the same way. Okay, there are multiple ways to arrive this, but whatever we have learned before is the effective way, so you stick to it. Don't change that. Okay, Let's get back. Let's remove all these things. We don't need them. Okay. Let's go back to the original state. Okay. We don't all of these, and we allowed all constructor. Okay. Now it's still some problem. Okay. All got resolved. Okay. So that's about it. If you still have doubts, okay, we can discuss about that later. Let me get back to the business. Okay. And yes, notice, suppose let's say the first name is null, okay, and then the last name is empty. Okay, I don't want to send, if the first name is null, I don't want to construct in the request. Let's say if I run this now, maybe I didn't start my JSON server. Let's go to that, JSON server, and let me, sorry guys. So JSON hyphen server hyphen watch rdb.json. Okay, so now I have started the JSON server. So if I run the test now, the first name will be sent as null and the last name will be sent as a empty string. So that's how it behaves, right? But there is an agreement between the client and server that if the first name is null, if any of the parameters is null, don't send it to me. Okay, that's the requirement. In those cases, okay, what you can do, you can go here and then can tell at the rate JSON include. Okay, this is an annotation coming from Jackson library, and here you can mention value equal to JSON include dot not null. Okay, what this mean? Okay, this means if anything is not null, then only construct or serialize that into a JSON. Otherwise, don't serialize this. This is the meaning of this particular annotation. Okay, let's, after adding this, let's go back and again check it. So now if you notice, there is no first name because first name field is null here. Okay, so that's why you simply add an annotation so that you don't write a lot of logic. But in case of if you're using a hash map and other stuff, you need to ignore that yourself, right? If first name is null, then you don't do it. So you have to write some logic. But in case of Pejo, you take leverage of from your annotations. Okay, now there is also a case that your client or a server is requesting information that is does not having empty strings. Okay, if it is empty, you don't send it to me. Okay, let's go there and then I'll change this to non-empty. Okay, then it will be ignoring both null and empty. Okay, so you cannot see both. So the empty is one level higher than your null, so it will also get included with this. Okay, so if you notice, there is no first name, there is no last name. Okay, this is because we have added the annotations there. Okay, that's one of the annotation. Again, if you want to maintain the order, okay, if you want to maintain the order, we have something called as linked hash map, right? In while constructing the request using hash map. But in this case, if you want to maintain some orders, okay, you also have the option. Okay, go here and then add JSON property order. Okay, so this property order, you can mention what kind of order you want to see. If you notice, you can also tell if you want to assign them in alphabetical order, you can tell alphabetical equal to true, which means whatever the thing. So let's say E is alphabetically first, then your other I, F, all those things will follow. So it will arrange them in an alphabetical order. Let's go here and then try to run it. Okay, so if you notice, the email EF and then I, J, all those things are getting followed. They're all following the exact alphabetical orders. Okay, and if you don't want the alphabetical order, if you want to give your stuff, then value equal to, can pass them in the okay, suppose I want first name to be the first one, then jobs. Okay, it doesn't mean that you have to give everything. So for now, I'm only interested, I want to see the jobs and first name in this particular order. Apart from that, you can use any orders. I don't mind, but if you want to give all the order, you can also do that. Okay, so let's try to run it. Okay, if you notice, first I want the jobs and then first name. So since the first name is null, so it is not included, so the jobs is now taking the first place. Okay, instead you can try with email. Okay, so this is how you can use Jackson annotations in order to help you to do these kind of simple operations. Okay, what else I have is okay, you can also use Json Ignore. Okay, suppose I don't want to uh, pass certain fields. Let's say today client has arrived and told, hey, don't pass me an email, we don't need this information. So I cannot go and change everything. So what I can do, I can annotate Json Ignore. Okay, so it means this will be ignored while serializing and while deserializing. Okay, so let's try to send it. So if you notice, there is no email field now. Okay, there is no email field because we have ignored. Suppose if you have a requirement that you want to ignore a lot of uh, parameters, then you can go here and then Json Ignore, and here Json Ignore properties. Okay, there will be something called as Json Ignore properties, and then value equal to, you can give them in array. Okay, whatever you want to ignore, you can give it here. Okay, that's as easy as this. Okay, so you can leverage whatever stuff you want. For now, I'm just ignoring first name. Okay, so you can take leverage of these annotation and then use it in your framework. Okay, any doubts in these annotations? These are all not needed, guys, but since I know them, I have worked on Jackson annotations for a very long time. I would like to cover them. Okay, if you feel this is easy, you can try to leverage it. Maybe if you have a requirement in your project, then at the time this may be really helpful. Okay, any doubts before we go to the next topic? Okay, yes or no, please.
All good, Anand.
Okay, good. So okay, so if you notice, we have done a lot of these things, right? And before that, there is a pending topic that I need to cover. That is the difference between your append and accumulate. Okay, let's go there and then we'll understand what is that. It's very simple, guys. Okay, I have gone through their just to their code and then understood what it is. Okay, if you notice, I have we have used a JSON object to construct the thing, and this accumulate method is something like we understood. Okay, so if there is an email already there, what it will do, it will have a key as email, it will have key as email, and it will produce uh, the values. This will be the values, right? So let's say I cannot copy this. So it will construct something like this. Okay. Okay, but if there is only one email, okay, if there is only one email, if you use accumulate, then it will return this as a string. Okay, little confusing. Okay, let's try to run it and then see. Okay, there is only small difference, I'll tell you. Okay, let's try to run it and then see. If you notice, the email 3, what we have used is append, which means even though there is only one time a key is present. Okay, ignore about my English for now. If there is suppose the email 3 is present only once. Okay, email 3 is present only once. Even then, the output is stored in an array. Okay, even then the output is stored in JSON array. But in case of accumulate, only if the email is present twice, it will store it in array. If it is present only once, then it will return as a string. Okay, it will return as a string. Let's say I'm using email 2 here. This time the email 2 will be in string type. It will not be of array type. That's the only difference. Okay, only if there are multiple values, multiple keys present, then in those cases, it'll construct an JSON array for you. Okay, email 3 is array, but email 2, if you notice, this is a string. So accumulate, if there is only one unique key, then it will return you a string. But email 3, even though it is only one, it'll store everything in a JSON array. Okay, that's the only difference between append and accumulate. Okay, based on that, you can use that. This is not that matter, but still, you guys have asked, I have explained to you guys. Okay, and apart from that, we're gonna learn something cool now. Let me take whatever I need to cover. I have already covered about this, and okay, we will also go to the update and delete. We have still that pending, so let's go and create a new class, that is update. I hope you guys should be in a position to do the update request now. So um, okay, so everything starts with your import statement. So import static io dot rest issue dot rest issue star. Okay, it starts with that, and then given, and I want to construct the header for my update request, that is put request, right? So it is content hyphen type, and then content type dot JSON. Okay, and after that, you also need to have logging. If you want, you can also add that log dot all, and in the body, again, you can use any of the way to construct the put body. Okay, you can use any of the ways, and then you can call a put method to a particular endpoint. Okay, and I can take the endpoint from here. You can split that to base URI and then post. That's absolutely fine. Let's go to update request. But for this also, you need to pass the ID, which ID you want to update. Suppose in my case, I want to update the first ID, and I want to update with the body. Let's say I use the employee object itself to send it. Okay, let's go to this place. I construct the employee, or we can use any other ways. For now, let's take, I'll use string. Okay, I'll use employee object itself. So employee, um, and then you need to pass ID. Sorry, maybe I'll use a hash map. This is more easy, or JSON object. I want to construct a very simple one, so I use a JSON object. So object dot put. I want to just tell first name. Okay, that's it, guys. So once you get this, you put it here to map, and then you send the response. Get the response, store it in response. You can name it anything, but yeah, response. You want to print it, you can print the output as well. But for now, I'm not doing anything. Let's try to run it and see whether it is doing a put. So yeah, it has made a put operation on this particular endpoint. Okay, and then if you again make a get call to this particular thing, then you can see it. Okay, let's click on this. Notice the first name and email is now getting updated. Okay, that's how we can do the put. Just that you need to call put method instead of post. That's the only difference. Apart from that, you can construct the body using any of the ways. Okay, that's the only difference, guys. So nothing much. And if you want to also use a path parameter, let's say this employee here, we are hard coding it, right? So let's say you can use something like this, or you can just tell ID. Okay, and then here you can tell path parameter. If there is something called as ID, and then I want to pass it as a 3 there. Okay, which means while constructing the request, it will replace this ID in the path parameter, with this particular value. Okay, so that's how it works. Okay, Let's try to do it. Okay, now if you notice, the endpoint is getting constructed like /3. The same way you can use query parameter as well. Suppose, let's say I want to make a get request to let's go to the get request, and let's also create one more thing. Get employees. Okay, so I want to do given dot get, but here I also want to pass some query parameters. Okay, in those cases, what sort of query parameters you can use? You can use query param, and then give the stuff that you want to go. So let's say I don't know what sort of query param it supports, but let's say id 5 or 1. Okay, let's see what's happening. For now I'm just doing the pretty print. Okay, let's try to run it. Okay, this is query parameter, so it will construct a question mark id equal to 1 in the URL. That's the only stuff that it will do. So it has actually getting me the response back with the id equal to 1. If you also want to see the what is the request that is being sent, okay, log. Okay, if you notice, localhost employees, after that it has constructed a question mark id equal to 1. Suppose if you want to add one more query param, you can add a query param. Okay, and then some abcd, some value, something like this. Okay, now if you send it, it will add an and symbol and then id equal to something. Okay, so it has basically constructed question mark id equal to 1, and then under it and abcd equal to value. So this is how you can construct your query parameters as well. Okay, this we have seen in Postman, the query parameters and path parameters. This is how we can work with it. Okay, now delete request is almost the same, guys, so there is not much difference. Okay, if you also want, I also create that quickly. Delete request, if you want to delete something, and first do the import statements. So let's copy it from the put request, maybe update. Okay, so this is a delete call, and then I want to delete the id 3. Okay, in those case, that's it, guys. You don't need to pass the header also, because we are not passing anything. Okay, and now I didn't add @test to it. Now let's try to run. It'll delete the id with id 3. Okay, that's it, guys. Okay, so 3000 employees 3 is getting removed. Okay, so this is how you can play around with your get, put, post, and delete. So only thing that is different is, for post and put, you need to construct a body. While constructing the body, there are different ways, and choose the right way, which for the particular scenario. It depends upon the request body. Okay, whether the request is small, the request is very dynamic, the request is very big. Okay, if it has a lot of dynamic parameters, how will you approach is all matters. Okay, apart from that, there is nothing much. Okay, now we have done most of these. Let's also understand how to assert, right? Without assertions, whatever the test, whatever we are creating is not of much use. Okay, but we need to assert at the end of the day, right? Whether some value is present or not, all these things. Okay, now we have a response. Okay, what kind of assertions and all we can do? We all know that we can do simple assertions like response dot gets status code. Okay, this will give you the status code. Okay, if you want to assert, you can also do that. Okay, but for now I am just printing out. Okay, and then out response dot you have a header. If you want to get some header value, okay, suppose I want to get the header value content hyphen type, so that I will assert it. Okay, Assertion is very simple, guys. We can use AssertJ library, or you can also use your test-ng assertions, whatever you feel comfortable. But I will use AssertJ, okay, for my thing. So I will also suggest you to use AssertJ. What else do you want to validate? So let's say while making a post request, okay, let's also, instead of this, what I can do, I will assert it, okay. For now, I am using test-ng assertions. Assert equals, this is my one, and I'm expecting a 201 status code out of it, okay. And assert equals, I have a header, and then value should be application/json, okay. Let's try to send it and see what's happening. Okay, there is an assertion failure. Okay, let's see what is that. See, it is telling your application JSON expected is this, but yeah, it's just a encoding, right? So you can change that like this. Okay, so that it will pass. Okay, so this is how you can write assertions. What else we can assert? Okay, there are a lot of things we can assert. So let's say in Postman we also asserted that what are the values that we send in the request is coming back, right? The same way you can do the assertion here. Let's say I want to validate whether the jobs is having this, okay? Or let me copy this, whatever the stuff that is constructed. Let's copy this. So this is a JSON, right? So I want to validate whether this jobs is having these two values. It's of array type and it's also having two values. So this is what we have asserted, right? In case of Postman, the same thing I want to validate. I want to validate whether the email field is particularly this value. Okay, first let's do the email field. Okay, let's go there. And here you have the response. Everything is available in this response variable. Okay, everything is available here. Dot JSON path. We used JSON path, right? In case of Postman as well. In SOAP UI also we used JSON path. So we are also using the same thing. Okay. Now I want to validate email. So this email is of string type. Okay. Then I can tell get string. Okay. Get string, and then it is asking me path. Give me the path where that email is present in this particular JSON. Okay. It is present in the root node itself. Okay. So I can directly tell email. I can directly tell email. Okay. Now I can also do assertion, but for now I'm just printing it. You all know how to assert a string. It's very simple. So let's try to run it and then see what's happening. So if you notice, it has printed all these and it also printed the email. So once you can fetch the email, it is very easy for you to do assertion. Okay, good. Now the second assertion that we want to do is I want to check whether there is a jobs. The jobs is of array type and it is having tester and trainer. This is my requirement. Okay, how will I do this? Let's go there. This response dot JSON path dot get list. This is a list, right? We all know this is having list. So give me the path where this list is located. This list is located also in the root node. So I can just mention jobs. Okay. Now, once you do this, okay, you can extract this into a list. I know this only have list of string. So I can put it here. Okay. Now you have a jobs that's having all these values. Okay. If you want to assert, you can also assert. Okay. Now, in my case, let's say I just want to do a printing of these things. Okay. You can also, okay, try to run the test now. Let's see whether it is fetching all the values and giving it back. So getting in the response back and then asserting is also a very needed stuff in REST assured. Okay. So let's see whether it is fetching. Okay. This is fetching me tester. And, yeah.
This JSON path is like inbuilt built with register assured, or
Yes,
like we
yes,
need
yes,
to
yes.
import the different
No,
libraries?
it comes inbuilt with your uh, rest assured library. The rest assured, when you give the in the maven dependencies, okay, it downloads all these necessary transitive dependencies it needed, so it comes within the uh, stuff within the rest assured itself. You don't have to worry about it. There is also external libraries that are available for JSON path, but you can use just the ones that is coming with rest assured. Okay,
Okay.
it's all same, guys. Okay, we already learned about. If you have still doubts how to find JSON path online finder, something like this. Okay, paste your JSON here. Okay, and then for now I want to validate jobs, so so it's telling in the root node jobs. Okay, in case of rest assured, you don't have to put x and all the stuff. You can just mention the jobs. Suppose I want to validate this one, then you can tell jobs of 0. Okay, this is your JSON path. This JSON path will fetch you tester value. You can assert whether the tester is present there. Suppose you also want to assert whether the dinner dosa, I want to assert whether there is a dosa here. Okay, then you can tell favorite food dot dinner of 0. Just copy this, go there, response dot JSON path dot, it's a string, right? So get string and then pass the value here. Okay, this basically gives you back. So let me do a sys out, and then let's try to run the test now. Okay, so it is taking out the so for me. Okay, so this is how you can use online JSON paths to get a specific value and then assert it. Okay, in some cases, if you want to do more validation, okay, a lot of validation you want to do, then you can deserialize this JSON, whatever the response that is coming. Okay, in our case, this is the response that we got. Okay, this response I want to assert it back to Pojo. Okay, so that you can play around with a lot of things. You don't have to validate the individual fields. Okay, so in those cases, what you can do, type response as. Okay, if you notice, this as is as giving you a lot of option. Okay, if you want it as a string, if you want as a stream, byte array, pretty string, whatever you want. Okay, but in my case, I want it as a class type. Which class type? Employee class type. That's it. Now if you introduce a local variable for this, this is your a deserialized employee. We are deserializing the JSON back to class file. Okay, now let's now if you want to assert something, let's say I want to assert the email field, then what I can do, I can tell deserialize employee dot get email. Okay, this will give me the email. Okay, you can also play around like this. Let's try to run it and see whether the deserialization is happening properly. Okay, it's telling some issues. Let's see what is that. So it's telling cannot construct instance show string jobs. Okay, it's telling you don't have a constructor. That's the problems. Okay, so we need to create a default constructor there. So okay, let's go there and go to the employee class. Um, I don't know whether this is a default constructor. It's not available, so we can create it manually. Sorry. Okay, so the same way we can go to the favorite food and can create. Okay, and also we can go to the marks and create. So this is for the deserialization to happen. You need to expose your public constructors. Let's try to run it now and then see what's happening. So now everything getting passed. Okay, so for the deserialization to happen, it needs to to explicitly mention your the public constructors. Okay, just do that. Okay, now if you notice, the email is getting out of it. Okay, so now you have an employee reference. From that, whatever the value you want, you can fetch it. Okay, you just need to type dot get. Okay, that's it. You want the marks, you can get it. Okay, it will be give you back list of marks. Okay, so you don't have to worry about what is coming. So let's say I want to get what are the marks it's coming, so I can get it. It's a list of marks. You can do whatever the assertion you want to do with that. Okay, that's how basically you can play around with Pojos. And now we have learned a lot of things, right? So but if I want to validate schema, okay, I'm not interested in the values, I just want to validate the schemas. How will you do that? Okay, for that, there is something called as response dot, just type then. Okay, and then in the body, okay, in the body I want to validate response. Okay, response schema. Okay, first let's generate the schema for this. Okay, this is a JSON. Okay, let's copy this JSON schema generator online. Go to the liquid technologies. Okay, and then paste your schema here. Pass the verification, generate the schema. Now copy it to your clipboard and go here in the SRC test resources. Okay, I already have created this. Maybe in your case, just create a folder, SRC test resources. Inside that, you create a file and then you paste the content, whatever you have generated now. Okay, just paste it. Once you paste it, just save it. Okay, that's it. Now, inside the body, you just need to tell JSON schema validator. Okay, dot. Okay, matches JSON schema in class path. Use this method and then tell the name schema.json. Okay, that's it. Once you do this, it'll validate that for you. Okay, validate whether the schema is matching the response. Okay, again guys, for this schema validation, you need to add a Pom dependencies. Okay, that you can find it here, JSON schema validator maven dependency. Okay, this Pom dependency you can add it to your. So go to the latest version. Go to the 4.4 latest version, copy it, and then paste it in your pom.xml. I think yesterday I have added it for my practice, so I didn't add it today. So let's go to the pom.xml and see. See, I have already added it, the 4.4. So that's why I'm getting that method. Otherwise, you will not get that method. Okay, let's close all of that. Okay, good. So yeah, using this, okay, this what this is, it automatically goes to the class path. Class path means SRC main resources or SRC test resources folder. It'll go and check for a file in this particular path. Let's see what's happening. Okay, let's try to run it and then see whether it is validating the schema. Okay, so now everything is getting passed, but we are not sure whether the schema is validated. So what I'm going to do, I go to the schema and then I tell, okay, let's say this Tamil, this is basically now integer. For now, let me change it to string. Okay, okay, let me change it to string and then see what's the error it's throwing. I'm expecting this the value to be here as string type. Okay, let's see. So now the validations has failed, and let's go to the error and then see response body doesn't match the expectation. Okay, the content to match the given schema, this is the expected our understanding. But if you notice, there is marks Tamil and the first index, there is two index in the marks. Okay, in the marks there is two index. The first index alone you are expecting the integer, so it is not there, so that has failed actually. Okay, so yeah, it basically gives you clear indication where the actual failure is. Okay, yeah, so you can see this is the thing that is failing. Okay, so now let's revert to integer and then you can validate. Okay, that's one thing. But the second thing is, okay, if it is not present in SRC test resources, suppose you have some other folder like this, let's say you have some folder like JSON schema or something like this, and then inside that you have this JSON.schema, then this particular method will won't work. Okay, in those cases, how will you validate? Okay, it's not always that you can keep it inside SRC test resources. In those cases, there is one more method. Let's say it's like a match JSON schema. Okay, use this method and then you can pass it like this. Okay, so this should work. Okay, and then this let's try to run it and then see what's happening. Okay, sorry guys, I made a mistake because I have to give the entire path SRC test resources, all those stuff. It will fail. Okay, it will not. Okay, it'll tell you cannot find it, all those stuff. So first what you need to do, it has to be current working directory and then plus src/test/resources. Under that there is a JSON schema folder. Under that schema.json. Okay, let's try to run it. Okay, still it could not find because let's see what is the error.
Resources is wrong.
Okay, oh sorry guys, this is spelling mistake. Okay, again I will check one more thing. JSON schema validator dot matches JSON schema. It also accepting string. Okay, then it should work. Oh no, what's again schema validation? Let's pass it as a file type. Okay, let's pass it as a file type. Sometimes it will cause import it from java.io. Let's see what's happening now. Okay, now it is passing. So I think the string is not able to parse the information properly, so I have just passed it as a file parameter. Okay, this one is a file now. Okay, good. Yeah, so basically you can do schema validation like this. So we have done almost all the things that we have done using good guys. Okay, I'm using
Sir, if we
rainbow
need
brackets.
to,
Sorry guys, yeah, go ahead. What?
yeah, if we need to validate, like assert whether the schema validation has been successfully like passed or not, can we do that?
Schema, that's what we have done. See this then after you are passing, then whatever the stuff that you are passing after will be assertion.
Yeah, but in response, like we are not able to see anything, right? Let's in the console, or if you want to, like, let's say,
I don't know whether this will
whether the,
just a minute. I introduce a local variable. It's giving me back validatable response body. Okay. This is actually passing the matcher, so it will actually doing this for you. But if it is returning a boolean, maybe you can assert on top of that. But you don't have to worry, right? It's all it's whatever you calling after the then it's basically assertion, so you don't have to worry about it. Okay. If it is failing, then it is actually throwing error, right? So it's okay then. Good. Oh, I was thinking about, yeah, I was actually telling, suppose you are using a lot of brackets, right? It'll cause some confusions all the time. So that's why I used a plugin called the rainbow brackets. So let's say this is green color. This is also green color. So it can exactly tell you where it is starting and where it is ending. So yeah, you can also use that plugin in order to, save some time worrying about the brackets colors and all that stuff. Okay. Good. I think most of the stuff that I have covered today, and let me also have a look at it if something is pending. Okay, we have already covered most of it. Good. I think tomorrow we'll start with some builder patterns, and then we start with our framework design. Okay. So yeah, that's all from my side. If you guys have anything else, you can ask me now. Anything else? Any doubts? Okay. If not, okay. Tomorrow we're going to learn about this. Sorry guys, builder pattern. Okay, we are going to learn about builder patterns. Okay, what is the use of it and all the stuff. But before that, I request you to watch the AssertJ tutorial in my in my YouTube channel. Okay, this is an assertion library YouTube channel, so please watch that. Okay, I hope everyone knows about my YouTube channel. Otherwise, I'll share the link in the WhatsApp group. Please watch that, so I don't have to teach them all again. Okay, I spend that valuable time on something else, some interesting topics. Okay, so please spend some time watching that AssertJ tutorials. But we're gonna start with builder patterns tomorrow, and then we'll continue with creating the framework. Okay, creating REST assured framework. Okay, it's all pending from my side, and then we will dockerize the test. Okay.
So Amutan,
Yeah, go ahead.
you will cover the authorization and authentication during framework design itself,
Yes,
or
yes, yes, yes. While doing the framework design, I'll cover that, because see, I can give everything at one go. Okay, so if you do an authentication in Postman, we do it like this. In SOAPy, we can do like this. In REST assured, we can do like this. Everything I'll do. So basic auth, you do like this. So I can explain in all the three places at one go. Okay, that's the agenda. Okay, don't worry. I will teach everything. Okay, don't worry. Authentication is very simple, guys. Okay, you don't have to worry too much about it. Let's say you want to do some basic authentication. Okay, basic authentication is a way that you tell okay, you can tell, let's say you want to do basic authentication, give auth and then do basic. Okay, you pass a username and password, that's it. This is your username. Okay, and this is your password. Okay, that's it. Okay, what is how, I know it's very easy, right? You pass a username and password, the server recognizes that, and then it gives you the information. Suppose if you are telling invalid password and other stuff, then it will throw you 401 error. So the same way you can pass this basic authentication in Postman also. Okay, if you go to the authorization tab, there are a lot of authorization. If you do a basic authorization, you have to give the username and password, that's it. Basic authentication is giving your username and password. Okay, what type of authentication else left? Okay, we have different auths like bearer token. In bearer token, you give a simple token. Okay, that's it. It's a very long string. You give that one token to it, then it accepted. The same way in rest assured, we have a bearer token. So type bearer, or you can okay, I can tell bearer, or I don't know how it says, auth dot. Okay, you have form digest auth 2. I don't know, maybe bearer is not there, but we can pass the bearer in a different way. Don't worry about it. But yeah, basically this is as simple as that. You can just add one method and then pass the information to it. Okay, don't worry about it. We'll cover them in detail. Okay, first I need to explain what is authorization, what is authorization server, what is the difference between authorization and authentication. There are a lot of things involved, guys. So yeah, I will cover that separately on a different topic. Don't worry about it. Just focus on the rest assured part now. Okay, any doubts before we close?
I have a query. Like, so you said like for Pojo classes,
Mm-hmm.
for every JSON object or array, we need to create an individual class,
Yeah,
right? So, say for example, if you are having tens and hundreds of endpoints, and each one is having different
no
JSON
there
array,
go.
wouldn't it make our framework or coding more clumsy?
Yeah, that is the only way. See, what are the developers, right? There are so many developers, all of them are using Pojos. Okay, so there is no other way. They use online Pojo generator for their stuff. Okay, so there is no other go. If you're writing a lot of code, that doesn't mean that is bad. Okay, they use plugins like Lombok and other stuff to make the job easy. So that's the only way out. There is no other way. You have to do it if you are using Pojo.
Amut, one more thing, while validating the response using that Pojo,
Mhm.
we have multiple classes, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
let's say we directly validate employees dot a name or something or email, right? But
Mhm.
let's say there is a separate class which is embedded within this employee.
Mhm.
So how are we going to validate those?
But let's say I want to validate something in the favorite food. Okay, favorite food is a different class, right? In employee, if you go to the employee class,
Yeah.
okay, favorite food is a class itself, right? I want to validate whether the breakfast is of something. Okay, then you can go here and then type get favorite food dot. And then here, if you notice, I want to get the breakfast, dinner, lunch. If you are looking for breakfast, it comes as a string. Dinner is list of string, lunch is string. Okay, so this knows everything. So get breakfast, that is all. So this gives you the what is the
Yeah,
breakfast.
got
Okay,
it.
okay.
Yeah.
Good. So using that, you can play around with it. So suppose this get marks is giving me list. Okay, list of marks. Suppose I want to get one out of it. Not get. So this is a list, right? So I can use index. In the index, I want to get English. Okay, in the 0th index, I want to get the English marks. Okay, so you get the liberty. It's just your map and list. Okay, whatever the thing you want to get, use get methods and get it. That's it. Okay. Okay. That's
Yeah,
all.
Amutan.
Yeah.
One more thing, Amutan, like I requested, like if possible, like in my project, I can
Yeah,
see a
yeah,
lot
yeah.
of
We'll see
people are
about that.
using like
We'll see about
the
that, man. Because there is no dummy APIs available. I need to see what. Maybe we'll connect separately on that. Okay.
okay.
Okay. Uh, that's all from my side, guys. Okay, I gotta go now. You all have a very good day, guys. Please, we will connect tomorrow also, and then because we are lagging behind, and I need to cover a lot more topics. So we'll connect tomorrow also, and then we'll continue with the next topics. Okay. Uh, Please try to attend, and then we'll connect. I know tomorrow is normally a holiday, but we'll try to connect, and then we'll cover some topics. Okay. Thank you, guys.